All right, hello. Hello again. Sorry I was gone yesterday. I was having a bit of a nasal issue. I was thinking about maybe talking about why I have nasal issues every once in a while that keeps you from streaming. And I might tell that story today. It involves talk about brain surgery, so we'll see. I don't want to turn anybody off, but it's something to talk about while I'm working here. So maybe I'll do that. Got some images ready to show. Not of disgusting stuff, so don't worry about that. To get things started off, this week, today's Thursday, right? Yeah, so yesterday, the Patchwork Girl of Oz #3 came out. It's in comic shops wherever Image comics are sold and available digitally on Comixology/Kindle. Looks just like this. I like that. All right. Today I'm gonna work on inking this future cover that I penciled. I think it was the last show I did. I think so. And I'll start doing that. And if people start coming into the chat, I will talk about other things. But in the meantime, I'm gonna take another pass on the pencils here. Really kind of nail down. This is my first. I haven't drawn these characters much. Just designed. And I want to get them right. So I want to really make sure. Oops, that's not the right one. Make sure that they're looking right on model, because this is also the first time that readers will see these characters. I usually start by drawing the eyes. I don't know why I didn't start there. Kind of wanted to make sure that these two had big eyes because of what they are. I guess that's big for me. Kind of finished. I forgot to add the text. There's going to be some text here, but it doesn't matter for the purposes of today. But another thing I kind of figured out, I want the place where these two live/work to be a little more rustic than other places. So I'm going to have them be like a little bit more looking like they're not too far from the trees that furnished them. So I gotta make sure I round these ears so they don't look too much like bat ears. Look better when they're colored. Yeah, I really gotta round them or they'll end up looking like too much like bat ears. Another thing I gotta remember to draw that like that. Just give a hint of a side there. probably wouldn't do another pass on the pencils for this if it wasn't like the third or fourth time I've drawn this character. Although I did do, on a previous show, I did these sort of, examples of, different emotions on the characters to get a feel for him, but these are still sort of new characters, for me at least. I should have probably just jumped into inking, but I think I wasn't feeling too confident about how this page is laying out. I want this cuff to be kind of big and floppy. Boy, usually pulling a lot more viewers on Instagram. I wonder what's going on today. Maybe I'll save my my brain surgery story for another day. I hate to waste a good brain surgery story. This is. And if you watched the other day when I was working on this, notice I changed the desk. I was originally going to have it be kind of a circular desk, kind of like wrapped around him, but I did not like how that was looking. It looked like I didn't know how to draw perspective or something, so I changed it. And this will. Oh, am I hearing feedback? Do I hear myself? Nope. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to pencil that too much. I'm going to just skip right to the owl. I already noticed I got beak a little off model. No. Down there. Hello, Mulberg. You want to ask a question, or if that's the case, go ahead. Here the other day watching this, I trying to stay within the these are my trim guides. The blue is actually where the page will be cut off when the printers actually trim it. Or blue, did I say blue? I meant green. These are my trim guides. The border here is pretty much like the safe zone for a comic. Gotta keep all important stuff within there, within that, so they don't get too close to the trim lines. So that's why I got this going on. What was your question, Mulberg? Let's see. Melbourne on Instagram is asking about your process. Do you normally draw the shadows before inking stage or later? Not sure what you mean by shadows. Most of the lighting, so to speak, is done in the coloring stage. I don't spot a lot of blacks in my work. I do more than I used to, that's for sure. Yeah, I guess if you could clarify your question, I could probably answer it better. So I think I'm gonna duplicate that. I'm going to switch over to inking here real quick, but I'm going to erase away. I duplicated the original pencil layer. And I'm going to erase away the area that I've sort of refined. I'm very, in the penciling stage, oh, I didn't finish that. I'm very iterative. For the most part, sometimes I change, or sometimes I jump right into the inking, you know. Sometimes I take my time, do different versions. All right, Malberg clarifies. Sure, I mean by shadows where light is hitting a cast shadows and those types of things. Yeah, that's usually done in the coloring stage for me. You know, if I did more spotting of blacks, and I don't know if you know what that means. You know, shading with the use of lines and blacks a little bit more. Then I do that at this stage. But let's call that. I don't do that. Let me see if I can jump out. Look at a page. I'll open up this page. This is a page from issue 3, which is currently in stores. How do you like that for a segue? So here's the line art, the inked line art for these foreground characters, and you know, once they're flatted like this, the color flats are in there. Then the next thing I would do would be to go in and start shading them. You can see that here. I'll turn on and off. And that's really how I deal with form. You know, the form comes out once the shading starts. There's a very little spotting of blacks. There's, you know, I use more black in my line art than I used to. Like you can see it in the hair here, his tie, things like that. But for the most part, I don't do a lot of spotting of blacks. Where was I? Oh, there we are. All right, so I'm going to actually jump in here and start inking. Get rid of this. I don't need that. Create a new layer for the line art. Good evening, Arts Collection. So I hope that answered your questions, Malberg. Not sure. So that's how I do things. All right, let's get going here. Am I in the right brush? Yes, I am. Malberg says, totally answer the question. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad I could help out. For those just joining me, this actually might turn out to be okay. Working on cover for a future issue of Patchwork World of Oz. Features the foolish owl and the wise donkey, two characters that are featured in that issue. Oops. let's do that right. I was worried that this cover wouldn't be good enough. Kind of, covers can do different things and should do different things for different issues. But I was worried it was going to be a little too basic for this. But I kind of like meeting the characters this way. Sometimes simple is a good way to go. Malberg on Instagram asked, do you have any good I think he means advice. Do you have any good advice to improve coloring? I feel this is the part I need to practice more. You answered your own question. Practice. It's the only way to get better at something. Just do it. Do it a lot. Do it over and over. Do it, until it's just second nature. Do it. What is happening? Sorry, I was worried that the image wasn't good. Just making sure that everything's in focus. Sorry for the delay here. Yeah, I'm clicking some focus. Sorry about that. I had to make sure. Yeah, so that's the answer to everything. Analyze artwork that you like. Watch videos of artists who have, tutorials about what you want to get better at, and then put that stuff into practice. Don't get into the sort of tutorial cycle where you don't put that stuff into practice, though. You got to work on things until it becomes second nature. I did, hundreds, if not thousands of commissions, and that's how I got, sort of used to working on things. You got to do it until it becomes second nature. It'll never feel good enough. You'll never feel good enough or ready. Imposter syndrome is a lifelong disease. But you'll get to a point where you got to get to a point where you at least feel like today's work is better than yesterday's, But don't ever let self-doubt get you off course, because self-doubt's always going to be there. There's no cure for it. At least not that I'm aware of. I wish I was better at coloring, I try to improve too, but I don't know if and I think I get better. Sometimes it's all about just getting to a point where you don't have to think about things too much when you're working, because you want to get the work out and done and into the world. So yeah, it's the worst advice, practice, but it's also the best advice, because it's basically saying you got to put the work in. There's no magic sauce. Okay. You know, my sort of style of coloring isn't too far from where I started. I've learned a lot and I've applied a lot of things, but it's still sort of pretty much that well, flat shading. Wow, I got a little dyslexia there. I apologize. Flat shading style of, you know, being inspired by like Batman the Animated Series, or you know, other like animated films were, I think, the biggest influence on my coloring. Like I always kind of aimed to have things look like I was doing adaptation of an already existing animated film. And you know, maybe I fail at that. I don't know, but that's where my biggest, I think, influences came in. I don't like that. Let's get that. There we go. Melberg replies, thanks, it's great advice, and thanks again for sharing your process. About practice, I totally agree, just scared of making bad habits or same mistakes over and over. Aren't we all? But here's the thing about that. It's like those habits that you get into, that eventually becomes your style, you know? It's frustrating because you're like, why can't I break that habit? Why can't I be better than I am? Why can't I draw like this person or that person? And but you know, sometimes those mistakes are what, you know, add the sauce to your style, so to speak. I constantly wish that I drew like this person or that person. But the reality is, if I did that, I wouldn't be drawing like me. Boy, it's really a specific sort of angle, like when I drew that smile that I like on her. So I really gotta be careful. I tend to be very conscious of drawing things on model once I get the look down that I like. Otherwise, the character doesn't look like the character to me, and it almost feels like I'm drawing it wrong. Sometimes I wish I had my character designs allowed for more flexibility in that regard, but it is what it is. you can actually see, I mean, you can, to answer your, never see style on that perspective. Do you mean from that perspective? I think you mean from that perspective. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, sometimes the mistakes that we make get integrated into our work in such a way that. Am I still broadcasting? I don't know what's happening on YouTube. That's weird. Sorry, just making sure that my streams are working. Yeah, sometimes the mistakes that we made, or the imperfections, or the drawing wrong, so to speak, in quotes, becomes part of our style. There's this. Excuse me, I got a problem with my nose. What was I saying? Okay, there we go. Sorry, one of my streams was acting up. There's a story. If you've ever heard of Dave Sim, he was the comic writer and artist of a series called Cerebus, very famous indie comic from the 80s and 90s. And he had this section in his self-published book, where he talked about self-publishing and the creative process. And I remember in one issue, it really stuck with me. I read this when I was very young. He was talking about being frustrated with the way he drew things, especially hands, and he was talking about working on a page one day and like drawing Cerebus over and over, especially the hands. And he actually drew really great hands, which is we all have our blind spots, but he seemed to think that he drew terrible hands. Anyway, another artist was there and looking over his shoulder as he was drawing this page, and he could tell that Dave was frustrated. And he's like, "Dave, what's wrong?" He's like, can't draw this hand right. Keep drawing it over and over, and it's just not right." And the other artist looked at it and said, "Oh, what's wrong with it? That's a Dave Sim hand." And it's like, yeah, of course. Sometimes those things that you think you're drawing wrong are actually part of what makes you. So, I might be frustrated with some of the things I draw, the way I draw them, but this is an Otis Frampton hand. It's very Mickey Mouse like, the way that I, but yeah, that stuck with me. I think about that often. It's a Dave Sim hand. It's an Otis Frampton hand. It's a whoever hand. No matter how much you try, sometimes you can't get away from who you are, or what you are as an artist. I wish I knew what issue that was in of Cerebus. I've tried to find it, but I don't think I have it anymore, and I don't know what issue it was from. But ultimately, style is the way that you draw when you stop thinking about the way that you draw. At least that's what I've found. these ends is a little too big. There we go. I enjoy using the liquefy tool sometimes to push things around when I need to. There we go. Yeah, I stream live. Every time I stream live, I stream to Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook simultaneously. So you can always go back and check out. And if I remember, I will make sure to add the name of the artist, Dave Sim, Cerebus. It's the comic. Great comic series. He's one of the all-time, grandfathers of indie comics. Self-published 300 issues, famously, of Cerebus. That was his goal, 300 issues, and he did it. He ran into some controversy towards the end of the run for certain things, but that doesn't take away from his amazing accomplishment. It's not in my mind. But I don't get into that nonsense. I'm not a canceller. I'm live and let live. That's my motto. I think, even if you can't find the books in print, he published the collections in these giant, they call it phone books, these giant collections. But I think on his website you can download digital versions. So if you ever want to check it out, Dave Sim, Cerebus. Didn't do too bad. I might finish up here in a few minutes, at least with the stream, and maybe come back tomorrow and finish up the inks on this. I'm trying to use my time on the live stream, each day when I stream for about an hour, which is pretty much all I can do. Drawing in this position, hunched over like this, hurts my back and my neck. But I might come back and finish up the inks on this tomorrow. If I don't finish it in the meantime. If I do that, then I'll come back and color it. But it's gonna be probably a solid, color background. It'll be a very simple cover, as opposed to this one is. I went painterly on that cover, but the issue 5's cover is open up. Is a much more busy cover. So then issue 6 might have a much simpler cover compared to issue 5. But I think I'm probably going to be okay with how this has turned out. Whoops, come on. Which so rare. I kind of want to make. I want to make the. Like I said, I want to make the like the furniture and the things in this and these two characters' home sort of beat up and rustic, and a little bit more rustic than the last house that was featured in the story. Had some rustic elements to it, but it was much more like a Munchkin mansion. I used to be terribly afraid of the idea of drawing comic covers when I was much younger, but God, now I really enjoy it. It's a whole different kind of thing than anything else. There's so many factors to consider, and it's a fun challenge. I mean, because this is a creator-owned title, I get to do whatever I want, basically. And Image has never told me anything about any concerns they had about what I've done with my covers over the years, which is nice. I don't know if they ever would do that. So, maybe if they, some newish or young comic artist had an idea for something, and it was like, we really don't think that's a good idea. But I've had no editorial input whatsoever, which is nice. But it's a whole different animal than illustration or interior comic pages or things like that. There's lots of factors to consider. Right now, I'm wondering if I should add one graphical element to. It's a little dead space here I don't like. One thing that I could do. Let me just show you how I work when I'm editing things that feel like they've already been done, and go in and play with this and see if, like, this is the shape of the windows in this house. I already know that. So I wonder if I can throw that into the background and have it actually work. It's a little too high, but I'll have to play with it and see if I can get it to work without creating any bad tangents. But that's, so now I can get rid of this. I'm not sure. If I do, I'd probably have it be a little more painterly and subdued, but we'll see. It's much more helpful to do it this way, I think. Yeah, actually that does work. Yeah, it helps fill a little bit of that space. So I might add that. Might also be a fun way to get a little bit of like, you know, the outside world in there. Make it feel more alive. So I might add that moving forward. And then I'm probably going to add, well, not probably, we're going to add a little bit of like a floor, yeah, the idea of a floor here like this, just sort of, you know, like that. But I do like that. All right, we're coming up on 3 o'clock. I was going to tell a story today about why I wasn't doing a show yesterday, because I had sinus issues, and explain what that was. I actually had some images all ready to explain the story of my brain surgery, but maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll tell the story of my brain surgery and explain how Mr. Burns fits into all that. It's a fun story. But yeah, that's going to have to wait for another day. I was trying to think if I can get his tail in there, but that's a little bit too long, or not long enough, I should say. But yeah, I think this is going to work. I might have to find something else to add to the background. Questioning things now. But I don't want to complicate it too much. I like the simpleness of it. All right, so that's about it for today. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Sorry you're coming into when I'm about to head out. But if you tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, I will be back for another live stream. Probably going to be either finishing the inks on this or starting to color it. And like I said, I'll also tell a story of why Mr. Burns and my brain have something in common. All right, until then, please like, subscribe, follow all the good stuff on Instagram, X, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook, the 5 places I stream to. And